Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. This is Business Morning, Tuesday, the 6th of August. I am Bosin Amafaye. Let's get the show started. This is the 18-page document, the new guidelines that the central bank issued yesterday to banks and other financial service providers on customers' credit history, pre-credit information disclosure, credit recovery, foreclosure, sanctions, among other things. This, of course, is the first robust consumer protection document or framework released by the Central Bank of Nigeria, as you see more than banks doing business in the Nigeria's banking and financial services with the licensing of new fintech operators that would merge telecommunications with service in the financial sector. So the central bank rolled out what it calls a new framework to protect you and I. So you need to listen very carefully. But more importantly, we're advising everyone to go on the website of the Central Bank of Nigeria and read up on these 18 documents. It's called, we call it, Know Your Rights. As far as financial services is concerned, we'll tell you a bit about the details, but please go on website of the Central Bank of Nigeria, read up on these 18 documents. You need to know what the banks need to give you, what they need to tell you when you're borrowing money or from any other financial service providers. Those who are doing all the credit money you see on television and you hear the advertorial on radio, you need to know what you're getting into. The central bank just issued a new guideline that will protect you, but you need to know. So what do you need to know? The new 18-page document on CBN disclosure and transparency framework is looking to protect consumers against the provision of inadequate, misleading, or failure to disclose material and relevant information. This document is also to guard against lack of transparency by financial institutions, not just banks, anyone who is doing business in finance in their dealings with consumers. The document also sets minimum standards expected to be followed by financial operators when you're doing business in them. So we try to summarize this 18-page document, but within the time allotted, we'll focus on section 1. There are about 6 or 7 sections contained in the 18-page document. In summary, section 1 says, all financial institutions, including banks, there should be no ambiguity in the contract, letters that are offered to you, statement of accounts, notices, and other documents that are given to customers. Documents given to you by your banks and other financial providers must not be misleading or deceptive. The central bank are asking all of them to disclose all terms and conditions in writing. That is in black and white. Meantime, if you do not understand English language, or the banks are to explain to you in a language that you will understand or that you know, it's called oral explanation. In clear language to consumers, what the terms of loans you are taking, how much interest rate you will pay, what are the costs, it must be explained to you in your local language that you will understand before you sign. Oh, of course, and you get a copy of the document. The central bank says you must be given a copy in writing. Okay, so what other terms and conditions are there? Explain the technical terms in the documents. All technical terms contained in any document given to you by banks must be explained to consumers to aid your understanding. Now, this is where I'm sure some folks will be beginning to get a little bit happy. The banks and other financial institutions will bear all the costs associated with disclosures to customers, except for deposits and withdrawals. Now you've seen on television and you've heard radio advertisements from a number of companies offering short-term credit to you and say, well, you can get as much as 4 million, 5 million within an hour or two. Well, now the central bank says all such advertisements must pass through the central bank for approval. 1, 2, they must be factual and unambiguous in clear and simple language that are not offensive, misleading, deceptive, or exaggerated. Meantime, such advertorial by these financial institutions must not emphasize the benefits of the product or services while de-emphasizing the risks that are associated to such monies or important to disclosure information. So it's not just about the carrots, they must also tell you about the stick that are contained before you take in any money or deal in any business with the financial institutions. They should also disclose the details of all costs, fees, and other charges that are related to such transactions. All interest rates in those advertisements on radio, on television, and newspapers shall be disclosed on an annual basis and not for a shorter period. So if, for example, you heard about some folks offering you a certain amount of money and saying it's 1.2%, the central bank says you should ask if that is an annual interest rate cap or monthly. So the central bank says don't break it down, give people, consumers, the full picture. How much is the total interest that you'll be paying for a year if you take such a loan? Now, if your bank or any other financial institution send you unsolicited adverts via emails or text messages, or they give you a voice call, the central bank says henceforth, this should be at no cost to you, the consumer, and of course they should put an information there for you to opt out if you don't want such notices being sent to you. It's an 18-page document. Other sections you'll find there contain new rules around pre-contractual disclosures. Before you sign for any loans, what the banks need to disclose, what are the contractual disclosures that are necessary, what are the specific products disclosure that should be there, and of course, a few more issues around disclosure on default. How many days should you be notified before a bank moves in to seize your car or your television set or your mobile phones if you default? The central bank now set out the rules of how many days of notice, when should such an action be moved on you, and what should be the compliance for banks, and if they fail, what the sanctions are. Just in about 8 minutes, just to try to set it all up for you. You need to go on the website of the Central Bank of Nigeria to read up on this very important consumer protection that the central bank has just released.